Are you looking for the best MacBook? In this video we will look at some of the best MacBook. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description. So make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1. MacBook Air 13. The MacBook Air has been updated and now comes with the M3 chip, and it's absolutely worth your money. Apple's fan-favorite laptop has the best of all worlds. It's thin and light, it's affordable, and it still has enough power to satisfy most users. Going for it is a no-brainer unless you have some very demanding requirements. The differences between the M3 and M2 MacBook Air are all about quality, not quantity. While very little changed between the generations, the updates have helped the M3 model really stand out. The main divergence is with the chip. Apple's M3 is built using a next-gen 3nm process, which to you and me means that it improves both performance and efficiency. We've already seen that in our testing. Its gaming performance is impressive for a laptop that is absolutely not intended as a gaming beast, while its temperature never rises to uncomfortable levels. That's a win in our books. The other major change of note is that you can now connect two external displays to the MacBook Air, as long as you keep its lid closed, something the Apple Silicon MacBook Air has never been able to do. That's a welcome boost for productivity. Number 2. MacBook Pro 14. There was a lot of hype about the M3 series of chips before they landed, and now that they're here, we can say a huge amount of the excitement was justified. While they're not perfect chips, they've given the MacBook Pro a serious performance boost. Much of that improvement concerns graphics. In our testing, the 14-inch MacBook Pro with M3 Max chip was 13% faster in Cinebench's or 24 single-core test versus the M2 Max, and 32% faster in its multi-core test. In Handbrake, the difference was 38%. While that's not completely earth-shattering, the real gains are to be found in the GPU. Here, we found the M3 Max was a step above what came before, with a 56% performance uplift over the M2 Max in Cinebench or 24's graphics test. Everything from exporting videos to 3D rendering feels snappier and more performant. If you work with graphics and need a chip that can handle whatever you throw at it, the 14-inch MacBook Pro can deliver. That extends to gaming, too. The M3 Max is so good here, in fact, that it outperforms every RTX 4070 laptop chip we've reviewed. That kind of performance would have been unthinkable. Number 3. MacBook Air 15. Apple's 15-inch MacBook Air with M2 chip was something of a revelation when it landed in 2023, a laptop for a small group of users, but one that hit a whole heap of targets that left us rather impressed. Now that Apple has switched out its M2 chip for the new M3, it's able to offer an even more compelling package. The most striking aspect of this laptop is its liquid retina display. This hits 500 nits of brightness and supports the P3 wide color gamut, and images look fantastic on its expansive dimensions. It's ideal for editing photos or watching content from your favorite streaming service. But now that it comes with the M3 chip, it's good for something else, gaming. Apple tuned up its chip's graphical performance in the M3 generation, and that means the 15-inch MacBook Air should perform surprisingly well in this regard. When you pair it with its larger display, it's an excellent machine for a spot of light gaming. Add in Apple's famous build quality, a comfortable keyboard and sizable trackpad, plus a totally silent operation that doesn't rely on fans to keep cool, and the 15-inch MacBook Air with M3 chip has a lot going for it. It's more expensive and its bulk negates a little of the MacBook Air's trademark portability, but there's still a lot to like about it. Number 4. MacBook Air 13. The M2 MacBook Air may not be the newest MacBook you can buy, but now that Apple has cut its price, it's still a compelling option. With a complete redesign, the 13-inch MacBook Air with M2 chip looks a lot like the MacBook Pro, with a uniform thickness instead of the classic taper that the original MacBook Air featured. It's now thinner at the back and 0.1 pounds lighter at 2.7 pounds, despite the increased battery capacity. It uses the fanless design that sets the MacBook Air apart from other Mac laptops, yet still manages to run incredibly cool under normal workloads. Originally launched in 2024, the M2 MacBook Air is a great budget option for anyone looking to update to Apple's Silicon or switch to a Mac for general computing on the go. It's small and light enough to disappear in a tech bag and can easily be carried around all day. The 500 nit liquid retina display is bright enough for most environments, an important feature for a laptop. Equally important is its long battery life, which lasts up to 18 hours during video playback with the Apple TV app. Apple includes a 30-watt USB-C charger, 35-watt with the 10-core M2, 512GB storage model, but it's also compatible with Apple's 67-watt USB-C power adapter. Number 5. MacBook Air 15-inch M2. Apple has only offered the MacBook Air in one size for years, but in 2023 it switched things up by introducing a 15-inch model. It's only really for a small demographic of users, people who want the lightness and quietness of the MacBook Air and don't need the power of the MacBook Pro, but also want an expansive display. But for those people, it's fantastic. It retains a lot of the familiar features of the 13-inch MacBook Air, including its slimline chassis, long-lived battery, and excellent speakers. If you are just looking for an ultra-portable Apple laptop, the 13-inch MacBook Air might be better suited to your needs. But if the extra screen space is more important, the 15-inch MacBook Air is a superb choice. Unsurprisingly, its display is one of its standout features. It's bright and beautiful, with Apple's Liquid Retina display offering 500 nits of peak brightness and hitting 90% of the Adobe RGB color gamut, making it a strong performer for color-accurate work. As we said in our review, it's among the best IPS laptop displays you'll find. On the inside is Apple's M2 chip, with all of its improvements over the M1 series found in the previous generation of MacBook Air. It's not going to break any records, but it's a solid,